See here, virtual LAN. Virtual means here VLAN, it means virtual LAN. Virtual local area network. Virtual means it is kind of, what does it mean virtual actually? Anyone knows virtual means?
It's not without the physical conditions. It's just we creating some environment in
Great.
virtually.
It is kind of imagination. We can say imagination of the world. This is not a physical,
It's a logical
just
network.
virtually. Yeah, logical network. Great. Apart from that, anyone can answer it. Virtual means.
Simply, we can say that even if they are physically separated, even then we can communicate.
Yes. See what happened here. Physically, we are connected to these devices. Physically, we are connected, but we are assigning here with the help of VLAN logical IP. Logically, we are communicating to other PCs, other networks, other VLANs. Logically, we are communicating. It's local in LAN area, local area network. We are creating with the help of VLAN. Whenever we are creating some VLAN, VLAN 1, VLAN 2, or VLAN something, VLAN 10 or VLAN 20, VLAN virtual local area network we are creating. So what is the requirement of VLAN? If VLAN is not there, what will be happen? Earlier we discussed switch, what it is doing, broadcasting the information to entire network. It's one broadcast. Switch, how many by default switch is one broadcast having. Switch having by default one broadcast. So with the help of that broadcast, switch, how many connected ports are there, it is sending to entire that ports, whichever I originated some frame here, frame packet. In layer 2 frame only, in I originated from this PC to some frame packet. So switch, what it is doing, this switch, it is sending to entire environment. How many LANs are in ports are connected in that LAN? It is sending entire PCs. So it is unsecure. It is not a secure thing. I don't want to communicate this PC. PC, some 6 PC is there. I don't want to communicate. I don't want to interact with this PC. Again, if I am originating some traffic, he is also getting the traffic. So he's in IT department. He's working in some other department. He both don't want to communicate. Like he's a manager. He's simple one employee. Whenever the some manager originating the traffic, that is secure files. So every PC is getting, every employee is getting that file. So it is kind of unsecure that LAN. So with the help of VLANs, we can isolate the traffic. Isolated means they cannot communicate to each other. If I want to create like VLAN 10 here, if I want to create, this is a VLAN 10 and this is a VLAN 20. The employee is in VLAN 20 and manager is in VLAN 10. So whenever I created different VLANs, by default, those two different VLAN not communicate to each other. For example, here we have one PC and second PC, and this is a manager PC and this is an employee PC, and manager is in VLAN 10 and Employees in VLAN 20. This is a PC1 and PC2. Whenever I created like in layer 2 switches, L2 switches, that time they cannot communicate to each other. Earlier, what is it is happen? If I am not creating the VLAN, then the switch is doing the broadcast. So here I divided like two different broadcast. This is a different broadcast and this is a different broadcast. Again, in this VLAN 20, how many PCs are there? They can communicate to each other in this PC. That all the managers will be communicate in this VLAN 20. 10, sorry, in this VLAN 10, this is a manager VLAN and this is the employees VLAN. They can talk to each other. They cannot communicate to each other. They are isolated now. This is a single broadcast. This is a single broadcast and this is a single broadcast. Understood? What I did here, one big broadcast. This is a switch is doing one biggest broadcast. I with the help of VLAN, I'll segregate it like single VLAN, single broadcast. I did a multiple broadcast now. One single broadcast into segregated multiple broadcast domains. What does that mean? Divide a single broadcast domain into multiple broadcast domain. With the help of VLANs,
Is it multicasting?
yes, you can say multicasting. A group of communication. Group of communication. Divide a single broadcast domain into multiple broadcast domains. It's single broadcast domain earlier. Now what we did? Multiple broadcast domain, 1 or 2, more than that. We divided. A layer to security, and it is a security also. A layer to security also. Whenever we are creating the VLANs, it is a layer to security also. Because they are isolated. They cannot communicate to each other. And by default, all ports of switch are in VLAN 1. If you are not configuring any VLANs in switch, by default, VLAN 1 is allocated. That is a management VLAN, you can say administrative VLAN. With the help of that VLAN, we can access, we can console the device also. Just we'll give the one management IP for that VLAN 1. We can console that switch and we can, if you want to change any configuration, you can do it. That is management VLAN also. And VLAN can be created from 2 to 1001. It's a standard VLAN and we have apart from that extended VLAN also, that is 10006 to 4096 up to 4096. That is extended VLAN. And can be configured on manageable switch only. And we cannot configure this as a unmanageable switch. We can configure as a access layer switch, that is manageable switch. VLAN can enhance network security. Yes, it's an enhanced network security also. Yes. VLAN increases the number of broadcast domains while decreasing their size. Yes. Whenever we are creating VLAN, then it is doing number of broadcast. So that is the reason the over CPU utilization also we are decreasing here. Because what it is happen, once the frame is originated, this switch is sending to entire ports. That time CPU utilization also more for this. With the help of broadcasting, will decrease that also. Guys, understood about VLAN? This is the basic of VLAN.
Yes.
Fine, good. And here we have two types of VLAN. One is static and dynamic. And before that, types of configuration. Sorry, types of VLAN configuration. Statically we can configure it, and dynamically we can configure it. And we have, as I told you, we have like two types of extended and standard VLANs. Standard VLAN range is from starting 1 to 1001 and 102, 103, 104, 105. These are the reserved VLANs, and 10 from 6 to start 4096. This is the extended VLAN range. And it is 12-bit decimal number, means 2 to the power of 12 is equal to 4096. 2 to the power of 12 value. So 4096 up to means 4095, because 0 also one number. Actually 4096, but 0 to 4095 the range, because 0 also will calculate here. This is a VLAN range. So we have standard VLAN and extended VLAN. The VLAN is act as trunk port in virtual switches to support tagging. This is act as like a virtual trunk port. And extended VLAN will use like distribution layer and advanced layer switches. But here we'll configure 1 to 1005. This is the range is we'll configure at our LAN end, local area, and at where we'll configure in access layer. These access switches in access layer will configure mainly. Now we'll move to the two types of static and dynamic. What does it mean, static VLANs? What does it mean? Two types of configuration we have, static and dynamic. So first, static VLAN are based on port numbers. Need to manually assign a port and switch to VLAN, also called port-based VLAN. One port can be a member of only one VLAN. Understood? We should have to manually assigning this port, static VLANs, and dynamic part, dynamically we are assigning. At statically we are assigning the VLANs. At each one port, we can assign only one VLAN. The switch port mode at access, or whenever you are configuring access ports, that port act as like only one VLAN. It will be configured only one VLAN. If this is an access port, this is a switch, and this is another port. Here you can configure like VLAN 10 you are configuring, and VLAN 20 also you are configuring, and VLAN 30 also if you are configuring. It won't take for this port. It will take only one port, only one VLAN. Whenever you are configuring at each port. For example, this is the F0/0. For example, this is the F1/0. If you are configuring here VLAN 10 also, yes you can, but you cannot configure like VLAN 20 again for this single port. If you are configuring only one VLAN, whichever you want, that is based on requirement, you can configure it. No issue, but it won't accept multiple VLANs. Also called port-based VLAN. We call it for this port-based VLAN. What we are doing statically, we are configuring. How the configuration, basic configuration, I will show you. And two types of configuration we can do for switches. Two types of configurations. How we'll configure it? I'll show you in lab also. For this is for your reference part I am giving here. We'll do for this lab also now. See, there are two ways. One is database type and one is we can assign simply VLAN ID. Switch configuration likewise. Just move to the switch configuration terminal, then give the name, whichever just VLAN ID, then name, then exit, and whichever the interface that is access or mode, you can change it for that VLAN. And this is a database type because switch having switch database, we call it as a database file. Switch maintain database file. In that database, we'll move and we'll configure likewise. Anyway, we'll do the lab also with each and every configuration. But statically, we are doing the configuration for static. Dynamically means the switches will take automatically dynamically the configuration part. And dynamic VLAN are based on it will be work MAC basis of PC. And switch automatically assign the port to a VLAN, whichever it required. And dynamically, when we are configuring, it is a multiple port VLAN. The port can be a member of multiple VLAN. Dynamic VLAN are based on the MAC address table of PC. Switch automatically assign the port to a VLAN, whichever. And it is not a part of single VLAN. It is a part of multiple VLAN, whichever port. Dynamic VLAN configuration, a software called VMPC with the help of VLAN membership policy server is needed. If you are configuring as a dynamic VLAN, we need a software that is VMPC. But for security reason, we will not configure in real time dynamic VLAN. You should have to know that is the reason I explain this dynamic VLAN, but we are doing manually. We are configuring static VLANs only. Statically we'll do VLAN configuration part because dynamically it don't know it worked on based on the MAC table. So here we will configure for this end user. For example, this is an end user and this is having the end user. Here, as I mentioned, VLAN 10 is this user, and I am manually here I am configuring. For this user is in VLAN 10. For this user is in connected F0 1/0 port is in VLAN 20. I am doing manually. That is a static VLANs. Guys, any doubts till up to here? Okay.
Yes.
Anyone?
Yesterday we discussed only FLSM. What about VLSM?
We discussed variable length only. VLSM only we discussed. Sorry, FLSM we discussed. Fixed length, VLSM. We discussed about that later on sessions.
Like I thought we have skipped that, so I just want to confirm.
See, in real time, we'll use only mostly fixed length only. That is the reason I explained those topic.
Okay, but are we going to discuss VLSM or like it's not that